So Shubman Gill is the new man. He'll be leading India to a new era in Test cricket. Rishabh Pant, his deputy, and a whole host of new faces in the England-bound Indian team. Welcome to Express Sports Podcast. You're listening to Game Time with me, Mihir Vasavda. Vinayakk Mohanarangan is with us as always, and so is our go-to man for all things cricket, Venkata Krishna B, who very kindly joins us on his off day, which has completely been ruined by BCCI's perfect timing to announce the team for England series. We'll get done with the formalities first. 16-member squad named today. We are recording this on a Saturday afternoon. Like I said, Shubman Gill is the captain. He's the fifth youngest Test captain for India after Mansoor Ali Khan Pataudi, Sachin Tendulkar, Kapil Dev, Ravi Shastri, Vinayakk, Venkata. Whoever wants to take this first. Captain at 25 for someone who didn't play a couple of test matches in the Australia tour. That's quite a remarkable turnaround and a remarkable story.
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. It's an 18-member squad, actually, so which is, I think, relevant as well here. It's not, if it was 16, I think there would have been even tougher choices to make. I would have liked to see a 16-member squad. Might have shown a little more direction. 18 is a little bit of a cop-out, I think. I don't know if they require 18, given there is an India A squad as well there. But anyway, yeah. So Shubman Gill, I don't think it was a surprise per se. It's been reported for a while now that he's the guy that the selectors are leaning towards. Primary reason that we've been told repeatedly, and even Ajit Akarkar mentioned, is availability for all 5 tests, because if you thought that Bumrah, who was Rohit's deputy and led India in a couple of tests in Australia just earlier this year and got a lot of praise for his captaincy after India won in Perth, would have probably been the natural choice, but Booms, as Ajit Agarkar kept repeating in the press conference, is not going to play all 5 tests. It's been made clear already. He's been told by the medical team that he cannot afford to play all 5 tests.
Yeah.
So India didn't want like a twin captaincy situation heading into a new era. So in that sense, it makes sense. I guess if that was made clear to Bumrah and the selectors told Bumrah that was their thinking, then it came down to essentially 3 people, I guess, Gill, Pant and KL Rahul. And we were told KL Rahul was not even in the consideration there, I think, subtly by Ajit Akarkar.
Which is quite surprising.
Yeah, I found that surprising. So in that sense, yeah, Gill and Pant, whether it's the right choice or wrong, I don't know. It's interesting for sure. I think the opinion can come from Venkat, whether they took the right call or not.
As much as opinion, also the insider scoop, Venkat. We are banking on you for that.
I thought I would be the Shivsundar Das in the press conference with Ajit Agarkar, but Vinayak. Okay, actually, to be honest, I was slightly surprised with the decision to go with Shubman Gill, because like Mihir rightly pointed out, he missed 2 test matches in the Australia tour, and then before that, early at the start of 2024 against England at home, he was on the verge of getting dropped before scoring a vital second innings century at Vizag to turn things around. So he's still not a batsman who cemented his place, right? He's still trying to figure out which is his best position in test. And then now you have given him an additional responsibility to lead a side that is entering the biggest transition in recent times. So it is quite surprising, but then as Vinayakk put out the reasons, I think they didn't have much choice as well. It ultimately came down to Rishabh Pant and Shubman Gill. And I think Gill, they saw, okay, he has led India under-19 side and he has shown some leadership material in Gujarat side. It may not be eye-catching with his tactics and stuff, but this is a young team. And then they expect the average age to be younger moving forward as well. So I thought, from whatever I understand, the idea seems to be okay, when we are looking at the future and putting a team in transition, why not look at somebody from the same age group rather than going ahead and having some stopgap arrangement with regards to, say, someone like KL Rahul. And yeah, which is why we are here with a completely different team. And then you have Gill. I really don't know. Probably he's the most inexperienced captain since Graham Smith to lead one of the top teams to England, I believe. It's going to be huge challenge for him, but I don't think unlike Nazarus, and I don't think Ben Stokes will come to the toss and say who's Gill. Mm-hmm. So he has proved himself a bit, but whether he has owned the stage in Test cricket, no, I don't think yet. So it is a big leap of faith that the selectors have placed on Gill, because see, ultimately what you don't want when a team is going through transition is you don't want a captain who's under pressure. Now, England, we know how the conditions are going to be. It's usually it's very whenever India visited in the recent times, they have rolled out seaming conditions, which may not be the case this time. They are like going by how the county cricket has played out and going by the runs being scored. It looks like with baseball in place, they will go for a slightly batting friendly pitches. But despite that, if Gill doesn't end up having a good series, there will be like a lot of questions. I think if the selectors are going to have taken a decision, I hope they stick to it and they back that to the core. If not, we don't want to be in a position where we are going to have like a lot of talks around like, hey, every with the home test or whatever comes around, like who's going to be the captain.
Yeah.
I think they should avoid that now if they have taken a decision.
I mean, among the three of us, you were the one at the press conference today. What was your takeaway from the whole? I mean, it didn't feel like there was too much suspense. Are we right in saying that? I mean, there was not really. And even the press conference was mostly along expected lines. Like, what were your takeaways from the press conference?
The most unexpected thing of the press conference, guys, was I think it started roughly on time. I remember the last time when BCCI had such a team announcement press conference for the Champions Trophy, they had said it would be at 1:30 p.m. and I think it was 4 or 4:30 p.m. is when they actually came out and announced the team. Rohit Sharma was there with Ajit Agarkar back then. Today it was SS Das, who was largely a mute spectator, and Ajit Agarkar did most of the talking, and he looked quite relaxed. He first started out by reading the team. He was requested to read out the 18 players' names again. He was asked to repeat them, and he just politely stared at the reporter who requested that, and he didn't oblige. So those small little things. Before we proceed, I think we should just get the squad out once. I mean, we should, I think, do that. So it's Shubman Gill, the captain, Rishabh Pant, vice captain, wicketkeeper, Yashasvi Jaiswal, KL Rahul, Sai Sudarshan, Abhimanyu Ishwaran, Karun Nair, Nitish Kumar Reddy, Ravindra Jadeja, Dhruv Jurel, the second wicketkeeper, Washington Sundar, Shardul Thakur. I found that was an interesting name. Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj, Prasidh Krishna, Akashdeep, Arshdeep Singh, and Kuldeep Yadav. So those were the names Ajit Agarkar announced.
Could you repeat it, please?
I'll laugh. I'll just not give a silent stare because, well, you're sitting in Noida, I'm in Thane. So I'll laugh and make sure that you get the message there. But the funny part was that you would expect that a lot of initial questions would be about Gill and captaincy and everything. But the first thing that stood out were the omissions. And the two big omissions, of course, were Mohammad Shami, which was more or less on the expected lines we had reported at the Indian Express a couple of days ago. And then Sarfaraz Khan. And you kind of wonder what wrong has he done, right? He had that one brain fade moment during the Mumbai test, I think, against New Zealand. After that, he was benched for the entire Australia tour, and now he's not even picked for England. He's in the A team. Karun Nair is in his place, and what Agarkar said was with Kohli not there, they needed some experience, and hence Karun Nair, who has had a fabulous first-class season, makes it to the team. But Venkata, I know there are bigger points to be discussed, so we'll start off with the omissions first. Sarfaraz not being there, does it really make any impact?
Don't think so, Mihir, because see, honestly, is it harsh on Sarfaraz Khan? It is definitely harsh on Sarfaraz Khan because all said and done, from the time he came in to the test side, he has looked the part. He hasn't wasted a single opportunity. He has scored 350s and scored a century as well. He has proved himself definitely in home conditions. But as and when India have stepped out, there have always been doubts, okay, whether he'll get a game in Australia, whether he'll be able to tackle the bounce. And now again, there he didn't get a single game. And now again in England, generally thought, okay, given his performance in domestic cricket, he tends to play a lot of cricket in up north, especially even in Mumbai as well during the winter part. So alien to this seamy conditions. But I think he's just like a victim of the circumstances. If Agarkar's reasoning was perfect according to me, because Kohli is not available, they need somebody with experience. And so they thought, okay, in Karun Nair, you have an informed batsman who's been scoring runs. Let us give him the opportunity. He's somebody who bats in at number 5 as well. So they thought, okay, let's prefer Karun Nair. But at the same time, will India miss Sarfaraz Khan if the pitches happen to be on the flatter deck? I think my answer will be yes, because the pitches over there have been lit slightly on the, as I said, it's plenty of runs being scored in the domestic cricket. And for somebody who bats at number 5 with Pant at number 6 or 5, depending on how they shuffle, imagine Pant and Sarfaraz Khan to be. They showed glimpses of what they can do during the test series against New Zealand at home, even though we lost.
Yeah.
So imagine those two, if they stay together for 30 overs, they have the capability to take the game away from England in no time. And make no mistake, England, with the bowling attack they have, they're not going to give us the same seeming conditions like when Anderson and Broad were operating. This is going to be a battle where, battle of the batting departments, I feel. But in that regard, whether India do miss Sarfraz Khan, I would say yes. I think by the end of the tour, okay, we may think, like, okay, so if Sarfraz could have been there, he would have just, because come on, there's nobody in this Indian team who can just feast on attack by coming at number 5 as good as Sarfraz Khan. That is bread and butter for him. Once the openers complete the job of like just seeing off the shine and give it to him, he can like kill games. That's what he's been doing. And yeah, I think that's going to be like a bit of a challenge, I guess, maybe a bit of a concern for me personally. So let's see how much is going to be missed by the end of the tour. With Padikkal, I'm not surprised because he had some injury concerns as well. And then with Karun coming in, I think it's just a fairly reasonable call.
Yeah. Vinayakk, one thing, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that stands out for me from this squad selection and something that Gill, the captain, will have to work out very smartly is I see in this squad of 18 only 5 out and out recognized batsmen. So you have Gill, Jaiswal, Rahul, Sai Sudarshan, Ishwaran. Karun Nair, maybe, I don't know. You guys might. But Sai Sudarshan and Abhimanyu Ishwaran haven't played a test match. And none of the others, apart from Rahul, have played in England. So batting, for whatever we've discussed, looks a little, I won't say thin, but light on experience, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, I think that given that, Rohit and Virat were not going to be there, whatever lineup was named was going to be short on experience. I just go back to the one thing that stood out for me from what Ajit said. If you're asking me about people who are not in the squad, you'll have to tell me who you would like to replace. I think that kind of makes sense. I mean, I agree with Venkat in the sense that it was harsh on Sarfraz, the victim of circumstances, but it was a nice line. I think that's probably it with Sarfraz. It looks to me, at least, I mean, I have no idea what went on in the selection meetings, but it looks to me it probably came down to Karun and Sarfraz and probably Shreyas for that one slot. And they've gone to Karun, which you can't really blame them for. If they wanted a little bit of stability, a guy who's been there, done that, and a guy who's by the BCCI's demand of wanting players to play domestic cricket has done it. I mean, not that Sarfraz didn't, but if they had to pick one and they wanted experience, then Karun makes sense. Whether it's right or not, I don't know. Venkat would also probably know this better, but I think Sarfraz's place in India A squad was also in doubt. But he made it eventually, I think. So probably get to see him in the tour matches and maybe what he does in the couple of chances, if he does get one, will be interesting to see if that kind of changes the decision. In an 18-member squad, I think the batting strength does seem a little light to me, and that is probably an indication that we're going to see more of what Gambhir did in Australia. They have Washington Sundar, Nitish Kumar Reddy and Shardul Thakur in the 18. So I would guess maybe 2 out of the 3 will be playing because Gambhir seems to love his all-rounders, even though we thought, English conditions, he might look for specialists. But it does look like he's going to stick with, at least 2 all-rounders. So, yeah, that doesn't... And with pacers, maybe 3 out-and-out pacers needed in the lineup. Yeah, that's probably the thinking in terms of constructing the squad this way. Maybe another batter could have been picked and then it becomes a 19-member squad. It's another cop-out, right? So maybe they could have made a couple of pacers as reserves, but I think they've gone with like pace-heavy touring party and trusting their all-rounders sort of to step in with bits and pieces of work here and there. Sorry, Ravindra Jadeja.
Ravindra Jadeja's batting form will be essential, I feel, in this tour. Yeah, Venkat, Sai Sudarshan, you followed his career trajectory pretty closely. He makes it to the squad. In 3 years since he's made his first class debut, his stock has soared pretty massively. What should we expect from him when he makes his debut?
I'm not sure if I have been as excited, as what I am feeling for Sai in a long time. Because I genuinely feel like India have got a good talent in him, because if at all he lives up to the potential he has shown in recent times, I think he's going to have like a very good career, very good series in England. Because as talking to that fellow, what I really got was he seemed to have clarity as to what he has to do in England. He was like, he's been preparing it for a long, and which is incredible in in the sense that he has actually sat down, analyzed, okay, listen, I shouldn't change my game depending on the conditions. My game should be the same depending on the conditions. Just the basics things here and there should change, which is again, for a 23-year-old, it shows that he has a really good head on his shoulders. So, but having said that, what I'm really worried about is he shouldn't get carried away. Okay, thing is everything has been going really in favor of him in the IPL and everything, but in England, it's going to be a completely different test altogether. And what I'm just looking to see is like how he's going to operate early on in his innings. Once he gets an eye in, he's a different player. He has the capability to like to convert the 50s into hundreds and stuff. But initial period, I'm just interested to see how he's going to like whether he's going to hang his bat out of the off stump channel or how he's going to like respond to the quick singles because. In domestic cricket, there is no better runner like Sai Sudarshan in recent time, and he's somebody who likes to like get off the strike at every given opportunity. Most of the batsmen prefer to like stay in the middle and face as many deliveries as well possible. But with Sai, it's slightly different. He likes to like sort of keep protecting the strike. And then with Tamil Nadu having predominantly a lot of right-handers as well, he tends to like put bowling plans off as well. So if he manage to do that, if he wants to do it with Indian team, I think he first needs to other batsmen have to understand him. So that will be a key. I think if he understands that, I think everything will fall in place for them because he has soft hands, he has got a good technique, compact technique to survive. So those are beyond questions. But how he just like sort of settles into the team seamlessly, that would be like key, I believe. But again, this is the very young side. I think that would give a confidence when he probably you don't have the Kohlis and Rohits who when you go and you don't feel like, okay, I'm like overawed by the situation. Right now, it's all like mostly players of his age who he's already familiar with. He has a captain who has been partnering at the top with Gujarat Titans, so that should sort of ease him into the role. Again, where he bats, that's the question that's something I'm looking forward to see because we have Jaiswal and KL Rahul who I think will open, which means he's going to bat at number 3 most likely or number 4, depends on where Gill decides to bat. But whatever it is, you've got a talent and it's important how whether he builds on this because he doesn't have, unlike Karun Nair or Sarfraz Khan, he hasn't scored bucket full of runs in domestic cricket. He has just shown the potential. He is a player who has been picked purely on potential, which shows that how much India dry in terms of good test batsmen in domestic circuit. So Sai Sudarshan ticks those boxes, but yeah, he has still a lot to do actually here.
Abhimanyu Ishwar and Sai Sudarshan, the two test appearances, there are few things exciting than having a players in this case making their test debuts and that too in an important tour like the England series that's coming up. We quickly move our attention to the bowling, which I won't say looks thin, but looks a little iffy, Vinayakk. Jadeja.
Mihir,
Yeah.
I'd actually turn that around to you. I think the Shami part was one of the most interesting parts of the press conference.
Yeah, it was.
We almost got the sense that Agarkar was a little bit disappointed. Just give us a little bit on that. I think it was one of the meatiest part of the press conferences, if I could say.
It was, and it kind of presented, I think, the selection committee, not so to say a dilemma, but like you said, yeah, he was a little disappointed with that whole thing because what he said was Shami was trying to get fit, but then he had a quote-unquote setback. He's not able to take the workload which, a 5-test series would demand. And in a nutshell, he said that if he's not fit at the moment, we rather play with guys who are fit and available. So he said it was unfortunate, but at the same time, it was too much of a risk to take Mohammad Shami if he wasn't 100% to play the 5 test matches, especially because Jasprit Bumrah too is in there for all 5 tests. He was asked about Bumrah. He said he confirmed that the 5 matches won't be possible for him. How much he'll end up playing, he said it's something that will be decided on tour. Like we all know, the speculation has been that he'll play around 3 test matches, sit out for 2. So to have one key bowler already missing 2 test matches or at least 1 test match, and then you have another frontline bowler who won't be fit enough for all 5 matches, that would really kind of, put a spanner in a lot of plans if Shami would have gone. So, it's very hard to argue with Agarkar's logic there. And that again leaves the bowling unit on a if there are flat decks like Venkat mentioned, Vinayakk, this unit will be severely tested. Mohammad Siraj, we've seen him in Australia. He, back then, I think, lacked the maturity to lead a bowling unit. Here, he'll be required to kind of pull up his socks and do even more, else it'll be like, was it 2014 when Dhoni bowled?
The dreadful tour.
Oh, man.
No, just one thing on Shami. I found it really interesting that he actually put Shami in the same line as, we've lost Ashwin, Rohit and Virat this year, and I like to add Shami to it. Okay. Is that a hint? A wink. And in the same press conference where he said, I have no control on when players retire, I think that was a very, very interesting way of framing things.
Yeah.
He was, of course, talking about how India will miss Shami's experience, but I just found that a little funny. But yeah, the bowling attack, I think, yeah, it is going to heavily depend on how Bumrah turns up. India would dearly hope that he plays the first couple of tests and maybe put them in a lead by whatever magic that he can come up with, as he usually does. And then so that they can maybe afford to rest him for in the middle of the tour. That seems like the ideal case scenario for me. If Bumrah plays the first test and India end up losing it, then yeah, it doesn't make for pleasant reading. Siraj is going to be interesting. I mean, Siraj's best moments have come when he's sort of given these challenges to thrive under. I mean, he'd fondly remember the last time India toured England, that the Lords, 60 overs of hell sort of thing under Virat's leadership. He was sensational. In his first Australia tour, he was sensational. He couldn't, I think, replicate it too much this time around, but showed a little sign of coming up towards the end, but then ended up losing his place in the Champions Trophy squad. So it's been a little bit up and down. So I think what sort of Siraj turns up is going to matter a lot for India. India would hope it's this guy who loves a challenge, who loves to, engage with the opposition batters, likes to thrive in these conditions, and if that can happen, then it eases a little bit of a load. So it also depends on what sort of, if both Nitish and Shardul are going to play, I don't know. I'm not sure how the lineup is going to look like. The second and third, Harshit Rana is another talking point, I think. And I don't know if it was asked even in the press conference. A guy who played 2 tests.
No, it wasn't. No.
Yeah, he's suddenly out of the picture.
Yeah.
With, so many paces being picked in the lineup and he's not there. What happened there? Is the management not happy with him? He's clearly fit. He's playing for KKR. So what happened there? And I think that was a little bit of a mystery to me. Yeah, the pace attack, Akashdeep can, I think, succeed in England. Arshdeep Singh can succeed in England. He has that county stint experience also, and lefty angle, and Agarkar spoke about how he's been bowling well, and he offers not just the variety but just the body of work that Arshdeep has done. There's a lot of cans in that in that bowling unit. Whether it turns out into coulds, we'll have to wait and see.
It'll be an exciting tour. There's so much to look forward. There's so many storylines. A new captain, a completely new unit with the most experienced players now out of the picture. It's impossible to pack in a one episode, 30-minute long episode. So I guess we will be closely looking at how the Indian team goes. June 20 is the first test. It starts in Headingley and the tour ends at the Oval on August 4. That is if the match lasts all 5 days. Guys, I think that's it, I guess. Of course, there's plenty more on agenda, but is there anything else that we should be adding to this pod, or can we call it a day?
Mihir, a little tribute to Rohit and Virat, since we've planned an entire episode around it. I think you can close it out with your take on why we are in this transition. What are your thoughts on the two big men retiring?
Yeah, I think the person who will be coming in at number 3 will have some rest, I'm guessing, because with Rohit around, that really wasn't the case. He was a de facto opener. So,
are we editing this out of the podcast, or
that's about it? I guess we should end the podcast now.
Oh God.
Oh, well.
No, but I think on a serious note, I think Rohit of the last England tour will certainly be missed. I think that was one of his best outings in India, especially away from home. Rohit and Rahul were sensational at the top of the order. It was, I think, crucial for India's good results last time around. The one thing that I did want to, if we did do a Rohit Virat episode, I just wanted to make sure that we're not clubbing Rohit and Virat in the same line when it comes to Test cricket.
No, we will. No, we will.
No, but I think, Virat is a much bigger miss for sure. His form, of course, has not been great, but I think India would have dearly loved to have Virat on this tour, especially after Rohit's retirement. I think one of the two would have been nice to have. This just makes it a much, much bigger transition. Probably even one of the biggest batting transitions India have had in a long time.
This is an entire squad of nice boys, quiet boys, Venkat. We don't have anyone to kind of needle the Englishmen, and I'm sure...
I'm waiting to see what the stump mics pick up. We know Pant can be chatty, but the other sledges, come on, is Gill come and gonna say, this is gonna be how hell feels like? Man.
Yeah.
He's going to bring some laughter as well when he says that.
I think apart from all his technical additions, Gill would have to add a little bit bass to his voice as well as the Indian captain.
Yeah, of course. And then, KL Rahul as well, who had some funny lines to say in South Africa.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be a huge transition on that front as well. Even in the dressing room, I'm told, apparently the music and everything is going to change. So, even some of the support staff are looking forward to see okay, how is this going to look now? There's no Rohit, there's no Kohli, there's no Hardik Pandya, no Shreyas Iyer. So, going to be a different...
It's absolutely an interesting time to follow this team right now. And like I said, We will be doing it very closely for all of you. I think we should call it a day. And thanks for listening. India tour of England starts June 20. You know what your destination for all the news and the podcast should be. So please do keep returning to us. Thanks for listening once again.
You were listening to Express Sports by the Indian Express. This week's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by me, Shashank Bhargav. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.